Hello there. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Cynthia Clark, and we are on Life is in Your Hands, where we help you become the driver in your life. And we especially love to look at topics relating to the metaphysical world because, of course, I am a palm reading consultant. And today I have a very special guest. I'm super excited to bring her on. Her name is Cheyenne Hull Burnett, and she has an amazing business to help light workers and spiritual entrepreneurs. And she is a spiritual marketing expert. So thank you so much, Cheyenne, for coming on the show.
Oh, absolutely, Cynthia. You are one of my favorite humans, so I would do just about anything for you.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. So tell us about your company and how did you even get into this world? Like, what happened?
Oh my gosh, that it's such a funny place to start because it's this beautiful blend of spirituality and personal destruction that led to what I do today. So, it's kind of funny. So there's two sides, just like in everything, right? There's the really emotional side to my story, and then there's the very logical and masculine side. And so on that side, I've been a marketing expert for a long time. This has been my passion and my career path. So marketing and sales has been where I've been for almost a decade. But a couple of years ago now, I launched my own agency, and I unintentionally but subconsciously somehow started attracting spiritual workers and energy healers and light workers, and they were the ones seeking me out, asking me for help. And so I ended up taking on this spiritual client or spiritual metaphysics teacher and an energy healer as my first actual client in my agency. And she and we ended up having this great relationship. I personally got to evolve, and I got to experience her training, and helping her kind of made me realize that those were the people that I really wanted to help. And so long story short, we ended up having this exceptional experience. We built all of these things together, and then crisis mode happened for her, and she had no budget to end up marketing any of the stuff we had worked on for almost a year. And so and so aside from panicking, obviously, in that moment, I started seeking out, like, how do I help her market without a budget? And so we dove into, Google ads, and we dove into SEO, and we dove into Pinterest, and we dove into all these other things that are really hard to get results without using money. And so I ended up through that experience becoming a spiritual marketing expert, and actually perfected a training that I now have called authenticity marketing, where we use Facebook to drive our perfect soulmate clients to our lead capture page and to our sales funnel without ever having to spend money on ads. And so it was this beautiful experience that was really hard, but really awesome. And so that was definitely how it came to be, I guess, in a short encompass of how I became a spiritual business expert or marketing expert for that space.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Yeah, it's oftentimes through crisis or through a struggle that we actually can bring about some of our best work.
Right?
So, yeah, I definitely could agree with that. I mean, I went through my whole divorce, fatal attraction, all of that stuff just to find my soulmate husband now. And it's like, wow, I had to go through a lot of just painful, horrible stuff to get there. And yeah, but it's all good because now I get to help people all over the world find their, soulmate.
Yeah.
It's like very rewarding. So sometimes we look at those like big challenges like, okay, but it's turning it into the opportunity, because it seems like the universe is really conspiring on our behalf.
Right.
And sometimes we just don't recognize it.
Right.
It's like, especially when we're going through it. So
No kidding.
yeah. So you probably help a lot of entrepreneurs who, are in sort of that crisis struggle mode because I mean, light workers, especially, they're really good usually at what they do, but they're not necessarily good at either charging for it or getting it out there on a bigger scale. So why do you think that's such a problem?
I think that there's a couple of different pieces to that puzzle that I've tried to piece together over the last couple of years working with people in the spiritual practice space. And I think honestly, a lot of it has to do with judgment or what other people think of them and ultimately what they think of themselves. So if you do not believe that what you offer as a service is going to change somebody's life, you're going to be hesitant to ask for reciprocation, right? And so you have to believe 110% that what you're doing is worth paying for, because first of all, if it's not worth somebody paying for, why are you doing it?
Right.
Right? Like if it's not good enough to pay for, maybe you need to go focus more on perfecting your craft rather than trying to get people to pay you for it.
Right.
But so many times people also get caught up in the giving, because in this space, like I know this from you've experienced how many people ask for free stuff because so many people in the spiritual business space are so giving. Like that's your natural state. Your natural state is to give and help humanity and create that oneness and that energetic experience of increasing your vibration. And so I think too, spiritual entrepreneurs find themselves giving too much because that's their natural state, right? They're that natural, humble, loving, let me do anything I can to help you person.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really struggle with having to learn to, one, love themselves enough and respect themselves enough to charge for their services and charge appropriately for their services. So, $20 an hour is not appropriate in my opinion, unless you're getting, maybe if you're just getting started, sure. But at some point, like in your case, you've been doing palm reading, how long?
About 10 years.
Right, like 10 years. I'm sorry, people go to college for 10 years and charge thousands of dollars for what they do, right?
Absolutely.
It's just not realistic. Yeah. But I think they have to consider that people value what they give money to. And so if you're not willing to see yourself as that valuable and you're not willing to charge, then why would a client take your service seriously and actually execute on the things that you give them? If you don't believe it, why would they? Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of different energies coming at that, but I think ultimately it definitely comes down to what they believe about themselves. They have to believe that what they're doing is helping people and that they are worth being compensated for.
So do you help people actually build their confidence? Like they probably come to you without any confidence.
That's something I think that we're actually looking at doing. So I'm launching a brand new group that is for that reason, where we can kind of get all of these different spaces, right? Because metaphysics covers how many different topics?
A lot.
Right? A lot. And so, but I actually just launched a mastermind group where we're getting all of these different experts coming together, and it's a place to celebrate your wins and ask questions and engage in other people on this path. And I think that is a way you can, it's easier to talk about business with somebody who's doing the same kind of business, right? And it may be a tarot reader and an energy healer, or an astrologist and a palm reader, but you're on the same journey. And so being able to celebrate I made this cool new sale, or I made this new meditation and it helped to this many people, and all of those things, being able to share that with somebody on that same path, I think will really help. And so that is something that we're in the process of working on, so that we can build up the confidence to have those conversations between us and then take it out to the world.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me, because I remember when I was first starting my business, I didn't have a ton of confidence. Right. And I didn't charge very much. And, there was a lot of nervousness and, It's like people who are in that space, it's like they're not even going to begin to reach their potential unless they can turn that around.
I
And
totally agree.
and they need to be willing to really get themselves out there to be seen, which I think is another big problem. It's like they're in their little world, wherever that is,
right?
that part of the city or that part of, and they have their circle, and it's just, usually a small circle. And it's like, wow, okay, how do we get this bigger and bigger and bigger? And a lot of times, at least from what I've seen with light workers, is they don't oftentimes think about, oh, well, I could actually do this online, or I could do this, remotely. And, it's interesting because, energy is non-local, that's something we've learned in quantum physics. So it's like, yeah, why couldn't you do your energy healing or whatever remotely? It's like, I've been doing it for years, so I know it works.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people it's almost like they need to just become aware of certain things in order to get into that space. So I imagine I can see you, like, do you help people actually find different avenues for like sharing their gift? Is that part of what you do?
Absolutely. And there's certain platforms that are out there for exactly that. And there's also the capability to, like you've done, where you build out your own platform and you do your readings remotely, or you do your work remotely. And so there's the one thing that has come up for clients is that they're afraid that they lose that connection to people when they take things online. And the reality is it doesn't mean you have to stop doing everything in person, right? But
right.
If your goal is to help as many people as possible with your gift, you've got to take on the resources and the tools that today has, because we have that global reach. And there's a reason you're a light worker today, right? There's a reason that you're doing this right now. It's not to be the person in the corner booth in the metaphysical shop, though that's a great place to be if that's where you want to be. But sure, there's opportunities today. And I think, part of it is fear because it's technical, but my purpose here and what I do at 5D is I want you to be a palm reading expert. I don't want you to be a marketing expert. And so I want to teach you very specific strategic ways that you can get in and get the marketing you need to find your soulmate clients so that you can help them without it distracting from your actual work. And there's ways to do that, that are not overwhelming and take up the entire, 40 hours of your week that will bring those people to you and help you find you. So I totally agree with you though, that it's just, it comes with the time, I guess, is my point. Be present.
So you brought up the technology piece, which is something I think a lot of light workers struggle with.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of psychics over the years who have become really good friends of mine, and some of them have managed to put themselves online,
right?
And some of them have not. So I find it to definitely be a big issue with people, and they get held up by the technology, and then they're like, well, I can't do this. So, and because I can't do it, I'm not even going to try, or I'm not going to hire somebody like you.
Yeah.
Like how do you help people kind of get over that fear around technology? Like, do you teach them like specific things that they can do, or do you do that for them? Like, how does it work with you?
Well, actually both. So I do own an agency that we actually build out sales funnels, and we do the ad thing, and we do all of that for people if they want to go that route. But I also believe in empowering people. And so I want it to be something simple, but just like you said, it's easy to get caught up, right, on the tech stuff. Definitely. And it doesn't feel good, right? Like that's what's so funny is these light workers are, and I know you speak to this, but you feel so good when you're in state and you're reading and you're working. And so when you have to separate out of that, and then you have to actually go consciously be involved in the blanket consciousness that's happening right now, which is the internet, right? Like there's this different energetic shift that happens. And so it comes with a different energy that light workers are, I believe, more sensitive to. And so, right.
They're very sensitive.
So there's that on top of all of a sudden it's a new technical skill, it's a new thing. And and there's the space is so loud too, right? Like everybody has a new product that like, this is how you should do it. This is how you should do it. This is how you should do it. Buy my stuff, right? Everybody does. And so not to say that they're not all good. I believe in some more than others, but there's a bunch of resources out there. So that's overwhelming too. And so I designed 5D marketing secrets specifically for those people that maybe don't have the resource to pay me $20,000, $30,000 like some of my high-end coaching clients do, but have a couple $100 worth of a budget that they can invest in themselves to have a step-by-step instructional on do these minimum things so that you have this working for you and then walk away from it. So once it's operating and it's functional and you have a sales funnel in place, then you don't have to be in that space anymore. Then you can go back and be in the state that you love and be in the space that you love and just check on things every once in a while. So there's much easier processes. And that's actually all my programs are about, is making it something that you don't have to spend all of your time in, because that's not where your time's best spent anyway.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like you offer a lot of variety in terms of your packages and your services.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, I think that's a big key, because I've certainly been solicited as a business owner by countless different marketers who have just like you said, it's like everybody's pushing you to do their program. And before you know it, you can literally spend $100,000 on something. And it's like, wow, where am I? And you might not be anywhere yet. Most people, especially, like the average person, probably doesn't have that kind of money to spend. So,
well, especially not the average light worker.
Yeah, especially the average light worker, because of course they're not, charging enough for their service.
Exactly.
And they're probably out there doing another job, on the side, like a regular job. And a lot of people, it seems like they have the trouble just making the transition full-time into their light work. So how long would you say, would be like an average amount of time to spend to make that transition into full-time light worker? What's been your experience in that?
You know what, I love that question, because I'm actually getting ready to, we're going to launch my new book coming out, and it's talking about exactly that.
Yay!
So I started my podcast a while back, and I actually started it with one intention, and it's kind of evolved because originally my thought was, okay, I would just interview successful entrepreneur or spiritual entrepreneurs, right? People in a business practice about what it's like to be that. And then all of a sudden I realized that those are the people that actually need my help the most, is the people that have a business already, that are successful, but are missing that in between. Like, how do I really take this from a job to I own a business, and I can step away and my business is still functioning, and that kind of thing. And so I have had the opportunity, you included, to interview wonderful individuals and spiritual practice owners who have successfully taken that journey and have moved from, whether it be, I've talked to people who were originally lawyers or teachers, or one lovely lady I spoke to, her name's Deborah, but she goes by Deborah Thunderby, and she was literally the lead in a rock band, but then she transitioned into sound healing. Wow. So there's just amazing, so many different kinds of people, but the journey is different for everybody, but it's the same for everybody. And I think more than time, it's the tools that you have in place. Because if you have the right tools in place to operate from a business, because when you own a business and that's all you do, and I know you understand this, that you have to have consistency in revenues, right? And so if you're trying to do that transition between I work a job and I own this business, you want to have consistency and know what you're getting yourself into before you just cut the ties of the job. Yeah. And so I think realistically, most of my clients who start with the like that are in that space where they're doing both, within a couple of months of authenticity marketing, they can literally quit their jobs and have enough leads over here. But you have to have the right tools in place too, because you don't want to just leave a job for a job, right? You don't want to all of a sudden have to work 80 hours a week over here, because if you're doing 80 hours a week worth of readings, you're going to be exhausted.
I agree with that.
Right? So like you have to have other things in place. It's just not logical, or it's just not what's the word I'm thinking of? Logical is not the right one,
but feasible.
Thank you. Like it's not it's not sustainable either. That's what I was thinking of, right? It's not something you can't invest 80 to 100 hours doing emotional light work every week and not expect yourself to be drained. And I have a really good friend who did that. She's an astrologist, and she did readings for people that way for a decade, and literally she ended up with a thyroid issue, and now she's got other illnesses because it's just too much on your body. So you have to have other forms of income coming in too, besides just readings, so that you're not inundating yourself with all that energy all the time. You have to be able to take care of yourself too.
Right. So you help people set up boundaries around their business and their life and their just like all of the different things to be a healthy individual. I mean, to me, it sounds like you really take a look at the person and you look at like the whole picture of it, you know?
Absolutely. And you need to, because you can't, like I said, you'll hate being a light worker full time if you're only giving, right? If you're not receiving and being replenished, you can only give for so long. And so and that's not just about money either, right? That's part of it, because especially when you're trying to do that transition from working for somebody else and owning a business, there's that financial need in the 3D realm, but you also have to take care of yourself emotionally. And so there's balance that has to happen in that being a successful transition, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And you probably have like a set of criteria for people to also hire out stuff, and when do you delegate? I think people, light workers especially, have trouble delegating. Mm-hmm. I know I was in that boat for a very long time. And it's like, no, I got to do everything myself. I can't have anybody else do anything.
Right. So I do it myself too. It's not just you.
So I think it's important for people to look at like, okay, well, what do I have to do myself versus what can I delegate out to someone else? And then do you help people with like finding assistants and things like that as well, or?
Yeah. So, and that's part of the agency process. So I personally experienced this because when I started my agency, I did everything. So I built all the sales funnels. I did all of the copywriting. I did all of the ads. I did everything. And so I ended up feeling like I was drowning because I was so exhausted working on so many different projects for so many different clients. And so I personally had to learn this is my baby. I know I can do it the right way. And my clients are depending on me to have these results. And so I had to learn to find people in a way that I can trust them to take on certain pieces. And what I found was I have amazing people now that I refer to. So I have set people in my agency that do things for me they're actually employees or partners of mine. But I also have people that, especially when I was first getting started, where I didn't like I didn't hire somebody, but I had somebody that I sent work to. And so it was at a project basis kind of thing. And so that's an easy way to lead into it. But the thing that I found was you can almost outsource anything as long as it's not your voice. So
Right.
if it's your voice, it's not for somebody else to do. So if that's, your blog posts or your writing or your videos or your books, those are things that you can't really outsource, right? But everything else you can outsource.
Yeah, that's terrific.
And that's the easiest thing, because you can have an assistant do a ton of stuff. Like, for example, one of the things in authenticity marketing is using Facebook groups. And so if I'm marketing for you, I can go find all the groups that you need, but it probably would make sense that Cynthia be the one to talk about what Cynthia does and help people in those groups, right?
Sure.
Because I can't speak to your voice like you can. I don't have 10 years worth of expertise in palm reading.
Right.
But I'm capable of finding 50 to 100 groups on Facebook that people who are interested in palm reading hang out in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something, like, you could have an assistant do the heavy lifting, but then you do your thing, right? You do what you're good at, and you be the voice.
Right. So you help people kind of identify like where their strengths are and where they need to really focus their energy, and just I see it as setting up just a very logical plan for their future, and so would you say that it is possible for any light worker to really make this their living,
100 million times yes. Absolutely. Because people, what's amazing is the world is waking up, and more people are interested in spirituality and being open to light workers and being open to new modalities. And so if it is something that you are serious about turning into a business, it can absolutely be a business, and it should be, because if you're able to dedicate 40 to 80 hours a week doing something you love as a light worker and helping people, think of how many more people you're helping if you're being able to actually dedicate that amount of time instead of working for somebody else at a 9 to 5. You know what I mean?
Yes. And that, I think that plays in perfectly to the title of your program, which is authenticity.
Right?
It's like, yeah, I love talking about authenticity, because it's like inside of each and every one of us is a unique contribution we have that nobody else has. And it's like, wow, if we could just tap into that, if every single person could just tap into that, whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
then just imagine how different the world would be.
No kidding.
Like,
right?
It would be completely different.
It totally would. And I that speaks to the concept of, one thing I get asked a lot is, well, if all these, say, tarot readers, for example, I've worked with quite a few tarot readers, and there's a ton of people who read tarot, right?
Yeah.
And so
I read tarot too.
Right? Yeah. Like,
yeah,
it's an amazing modality. It makes sense. That a lot of people would read tarot. But the thing that's come up with students of mine recently is like, well, if there's so many people reading tarot, why would I start a tarot business? And I have two responses to that. One is, so just because, like, if I read tarot, my voice and who I speak to is not going to speak to the same person that Cynthia's voice would speak to. We're going to attract very different people because we have very different personalities. We're different energy. And so my soulmate clients are because they're here looking for me. Yours are yours. But you've also done something unique that I always recommend my clients do too, which is generate that niche market, right? Generate that unique blend. And so tarot is an amazing tool, and it has been successfully blended with so many other modalities. Like in your case, you're the only person I know that does palm reading and tarot reading as one tool, right? It's
yes.
This beautiful combination.
Right.
I've had clients combine energy work and metaphysics and tarot and like one of my girlfriends, Gemma, she's in the UK, or she's actually in Scotland, but back and forth from the UK to Scotland, but she does tarot, but she does it specifically for helping like actual mainstream businesses. So there's all these different ways that it blends and different callings. So the biggest thing is, if you're trying to turn it into a business, you need to be unique, and you need to know what it is that you bring to the table that's different than all the other tarot readers. What makes Cynthia unique, right? And
yeah,
you know that's that's the amazing blend between palm reading and tarot. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
by all means, the universe's our Earth's vibration will increase if all the light workers are doing their work full time, and that's just the reality.
Yay, I love it.
So we all win if the light workers win.
So all you light workers out there who are thinking about getting into business, please, please, please pursue, like, do not ever give up on this, because it is waiting for you. Like, it literally wants to find you. The universe is trying to conspire to get you to be doing this. And
Right.
it's so fulfilling for not only for you, but all the people that you can help. So,
Well, and there's like, my biggest priority in this whole thing has been to make it easy, make the business stuff easy, because the energy stuff is hard, right? Like the energy work, there's a lot to it, and you guys put in so much of your time and personal growth and personal development to have to learn all of these things to help the rest of us ascend. And so the business side of it doesn't have to be hard. It just has been, because there's so many voices. And so if I can be that beacon of light for spiritual entrepreneurs to go, okay, if I follow Cheyenne and I just do these 5 simple things, I can automate most of the business stuff, and I can focus on the people that need me most.
yay, that sounds so nice. I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't want to do that. I honestly just can't imagine that. So we're just so happy you're here.
Oh, thanks. It's a labor of love. I love every single one of you, because I learn something new about myself every time too. So there's a beautiful blend happening. I've never not learned something from one of my light workers or energy clients.
Yeah, that's terrific. So tell me, do you work with people around the world? Like, if they're across the continent or across the planet, like, do you work with people anywhere in the world?
At this point, I would work with anybody in the universe, as long as they had an internet connection.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of being global, right? We have the tool to have access to people on the other side of the world. And so I've helped almost, or over 7,000 different people start successful online businesses at this point, and they're all over the globe. And that's the beauty of it, is somebody doing tarot readings or palm readings in the UK can still have that simple, elegant help because of the internet.
Yay, that's awesome.
Right?
Okay, so tell us, how do people get in touch with you, and what are you offering, or what would you like to share that we maybe haven't talked about yet? And
yeah,
let's find out.
So the easiest thing is, if you just go to the number 5D, as in 5th dimension, marketingsecrets.com. Right there on the homepage, there's a free report. So you don't have to do anything other than just ask for the report. But it talks about insider secrets that I've gathered from all the exceptional energy healers and spiritual practice owners that I've interviewed. And it talks about all the different secrets that they've used to create a successful business. And it's basically just a 9-page report of awesome tools and things that you can use. And so that's for free on the website. It's the first thing you see, so you can just download it.
Perfect.
And then they're welcome to reach out to me directly if they have a question or they need help or they're just stuck on something. My name is Cheyenne, and it's just Cheyenne at 5dmarketingsecrets.com. And I'm constantly checking my emails and constantly happy to help. So
yay. Well, that sounds super easy and very non-threatening.
Right.
Because I know sometimes people, especially marketers, get a bad rap sometimes of being like very aggressive, and it seems to me like you are total opposite of that.
You know,
So
I have found it, and like I said, my big thing, right? Because there's a bunch of different ways to market, but my big thing is I've perfected the capability to be your most authentic self, and that be how a constant stream of soulmate clients finds you. And so I don't have to be pushy, because I don't need to be. The people that need my help, that want my help, will reach out to me because of the systems that we have in place. So marketing doesn't, it's such a scary word. And so many people, right? It's such a harsh word anymore. But just think of what I do more as a like attraction, right? It's
yeah, sure.
manifesting your soulmate clients because they need you.
Absolutely.
And they can also find me on Facebook. Obviously most of our stuff is on Facebook, so it's just 5D Marketing Secrets, and we have a business page in our group and stuff. So wherever they want to find me.
Yeah, whatever avenue you choose.
Whatever. I don't care. If you need help, just find me however you prefer.
Please go find Cheyenne. She's very easy to reach. So,
and this is my passion and my purpose. And so if it's something that somebody really needs help with, or they're really struggling, please find me. We will fix it.
Yay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining on our podcast today. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it's been so much fun talking to you again. I feel like, we could just talk forever. I love that.
For sure.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. And I'm so happy and excited for you to get going on your Lightworker business, if that's something you're called to do. And Cheyenne is a fantastic resource for you. So if you liked this podcast, please subscribe to our podcast and please let other people know that you liked it. And let's get the word out about all the great things that Life in Your Hands is all about, which is helping people take charge of their lives in a very positive way. So please join me again in a very near future episode. I'm Cynthia Clark, and you can find me over at palmistry.world or at loveinyourhands.com. And I'm more than happy to assist you with any of your relationship or palm reading needs. So, and Cheyenne is happy to help you with your marketing needs. So, thank you so much, Cheyenne, and everybody have a fantastic day.